Well, it's always a good day when you can hang out with Jennifer Nettles, who's in town. Woo! Jennifer, let's all make noise for you.
Yay!
Show at the Beacon Theater tonight.
Yes.
With the CMT Next Women of Country.
Next Women of Country.
They've kind of brought in a ringer, though.
Yeah. I said I did want to rename it like Barroom Babes and Old Broads, and I would be the old broad. That would be my category.
It should be good. It was Brandy Clark and Lindsay L. and Tara Thompson, too. And we'll talk more about them in just a minute. It's funny, the amount of artists that will come in here and sort of reference you as kind of being the country queen of New York, or the people, at least the person in the industry that seems to know the most about the city.
I have a home here, too, and I've had one here for a little while, and I love it. It is.
Carrie Underwood said you actually made her a list.
I did. Yes, I did.
So,
that's
like
so funny.
your perfect NYC day. What's on that list of where we
one day is going to be really hard to get it all in. Okay.
Okay. Over the course of a few days.
Okay, over the course of a few days. I would probably go start off at the very least having maybe coffee at Laughing Man, maybe breakfast at Bubby's down in Tribeca, although there is one at the High Line now, but I don't know if it's as good. And then I'd maybe move on. Maybe I might, and again, this is a full day, so it's really not the best idea, but I'm just saying all the things
it's a day
I
in the summer, too, so it's like
in the summer.
The sun's up till 9 o'clock.
Okay, then I would go for a nice walk. I'd probably go to the High Line and take a nice walk on the High Line if it's a beautiful day in the summer, early morning, yes. Then I might go back and take a nap. Okay. Then in the
Which is hard to do in the city.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Not really. Unless if you're not working, right? You just go back to your hotel or to your house.
Do you have a soundproof home then?
You know what? I'm on a really quiet street, which is good. And I also run a little sound machine, a little noise machine, which helps, a little white noise.
That's nice.
But back to the fun.
Okay.
What would we do? Then I would, so I would go for a nice walk on the High Line, then maybe take a nap. Then maybe, if I had time, I doubt I'd have time, but if I'd have time, I would go probably to MoMA. Probably I would go because that's one of my favorites. Or the Met. That's hard to say. Take in, see what's happening there.
Sit out on the terrace at MoMA a little bit.
Oh, right.
Take it all in.
Yes, especially on the summer.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting because it's freezing outside, as you all know. And then what? Then in the evening, I would love to go to dinner. That is too hard to pick, so I'm not even going to say one right now. It's too hard to pick. Okay, I would say at Buvette in the West Village. They have delicious wine and French food, and I love it. And then I would maybe catch a show, which this really wouldn't work as well because if you go to Buvette, although they're open all the time, so you could really go at 5 if you wanted to have like a cocktail snack.
Still early thing.
And then go and make your curtain, for a show.
You probably wouldn't go see Chicago. I think you've seen that.
I've seen that one a few times. You know what I really want to see? I really want to see The Color Purple. I haven't seen it, and Jennifer Hudson, who is a friend of mine, she is in it. I want to see that. That's next on my list for what to see for sure. I've seen Hamilton. Please go see it, everybody. It will change your life. It changed mine. And then maybe I'd go check maybe The Color Purple, and then afterwards maybe go meet some of my theater buddies out for a drink. That would be fun.
At Buffalo Wild Wings?
Clearly at Buffalo Wild Wings.
That's right, too. Yeah. So speaking of Chicago, and you were here, and then I'm thinking like Coat of Many Colors, and the ratings are huge, and you hosted the CMA Country Christmas. You do all these things. How does your brain work? Do you map it out and say, well, while I'm doing this, I'm just thinking about this? Are you thinking about music when you're doing those things? Is it all jumbled? How does your brain work?
Well, my brain works. That's a whole other session. That's like a therapy session. But for the most part in this business, really, you do think ahead, just because even a tour is planned months and months in advance. So you know what you're going to be doing. So by the time you're in the moment, for example, of the tour, you're already thinking what's going to happen after the tour because you know how long you're going to be in that. I'm just using that as an example because that's where I am right now. And sometimes then I'll just leave myself open, permission to speak freely because I'm in a record cycle right now. So I'm touring now into May. And then the hope is to possibly do some film in the summer. I'm leaving myself open for that. And then maybe start sniffing towards some more stage Broadway stuff for the end of 2016, early 2017.
Because you could plan out your whole 2016, and that could be music. You could have other things.
Right, I could be like,
but you're saying you need to leave room for opportunities.
If you want something beautiful to come into your life, you got to make space for that. You know what I'm saying? And right now, with the way also too that all of these industries work, they don't necessarily hold hands. You know what I'm saying? The movie industry, they have their own yearly seasons that they work within. So the summer could be a good time, but they're just now getting started to look at what projects they're having. So who knows what I might even be offered to audition for, much less get.
Well, I think you're going to get a lot more offers after that, playing Dolly Parton's
so. You know what?
mother.
When you're involved in something like that, you think, this is really special. But you don't know until it gets put out there into the world,
right.
How it's going to be received. Yeah. So I was blown away by the response to that movie. And because for me, the process of it in and of itself was a reward. To get to be, Dolly Parton's mother, to get to play that part, to get to be associated with Dolly and the goodwill and the love that she has fostered in her career is just amazing. So that was already a win for me. The fact that everybody loved it just blew me away.
Yeah. I think NBC was so taken aback a bit is that they, from what I heard, went to Dolly immediately and were like, do you have any other stories from your
from all of your songs? Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And she does, from both her life and of her songs. So we'll see if they'll do something else.
We're so happy to talk to Jennifer Nettles, who now is part of the Big Machine roster of artists.
Indeed.
You got Scott Borchetta in your corner.
He ain't too shabby, baby.
I mean, the guy that's going to be on national television tonight on American Idol, judging people.
Right.
How did that feel? Like that kind of momentum, just that relationship with Scott as well.
Amazing. Well, Scott and I had worked together years ago at the beginning of Sugarland because he was working at the time at Mercury. And so he was in radio promotion there at the time when we were just starting out. He was starting out with them there. So I got to know him then, and he and I became friends and became actually close, from work and loving each other's sort of work ethic, if you will.
Right.
Kind
of like he's crazy like me.
Yeah, he's crazy. Yeah, he is a gangster risk taker like me. Let's do this. Get crazy. So, and I had been looking for an opportunity, especially when I started my solo venture, to try and work with him again, and was just waiting on the right time for that to be able to happen. Because obviously in the business world, when you are contracted in one place or another, that's not just an easy hey, I'm going to come over here now. So I was thrilled when it worked out in such a way that I could go and work with him again, because I love what he does. He is super, super passionate about his artists, and that's what I really wanted and needed for this record.
Speaking of the record, it's called Playing with Fire.
Playing with Fire.
Is it done? The tracks are laid in, ready to go?
Yes, they are done. I may, they're still not mastered. I may try and slip a couple past the goalie if I can at the very last minute here, because it's not coming out until April. So I still have a tiny window if I want to try to, to just see if I can best anything on there.
Well, you hear so many stories from artists, like a big hit was like the last song they put on the record.
You never know.
You want to give yourself as much chance.
Yeah, always try. You can't hurt, So I'm going to try to do that and see if I can get a couple in at the last minute. We'll see. But for the most part, it's done. Yeah. Talk
to us about the song "Unlove You" that you wrote with Brandy Clark. When I listen to it, as a guy, sometimes I don't analyze lyrics because I'm a dumb guy. But part of me thinks it's about relationship that ended, or sometimes when I listen, it sounds like a relationship that shouldn't be going on.
Right. It can be both. Actually, you are not the only one to have analyzed it in both of those ways, and I think that's because the story in it of itself is clearly about a relationship that, for whatever reason, can't happen, and it leads to heartbreak. I wrote it with Brandy Clark based on a conversation that we'd had where she said, you can't unring a bell. We were talking about something else, and I said, you know what, you sure can't. And I started thinking about that, and I thought, you know what, when you know something, you can't unknow it. You can try to deal with the information, but you're really not you can't pretend that it didn't happen and make it go away. Even if you forget it, that's not unknowing it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, even in a court of law, somebody says, strike that from the record. It's not like the jury doesn't.
Thank you. Exactly. Good example. So, so I had been thinking about that, and I sat down with a guitar and came up with the chorus and gave her a buzz and said, hey, I think we might have something here. Let's see if we can finish it. So
how's that when you're writing with another female artist? How's that dynamic with just two women in the room as opposed to A male.
A male. I mean, obviously, anybody you write with, it's different every time, male or female, just because personalities are so different. But I mean, for me, I am a very woman-centered woman. I'm not one of those women that I guess some people say that there is animosity sometimes for women. I'm not one of those. I champion women. Clearly, I'm on the next Women of a Country tour. I went to a women's college, all those things. So I have really close and lovely friendships with women that I value. And so consequently, I think for me, it's an opportunity to be heard and understood in a very specific way as a writer and in a more intimate way, I think, because we do many times speak a similar language.
Yeah, even more of a comfort level.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're wired the same, if you will.
The single's called Unlove You, the album Playing with Fire March. Are we thinking?
April 8th.
April 8th.
The album is coming out April 8th.
All right. Get on it. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Jennifer Nettles.
Yay!